Councilor Bronson, I need to apologize. I have a memo that I passed out to the councilors here, and I just barely emailed it to you. I am so sorry for not getting that to you earlier, but it is in your email now.
Ready.
We're ready. I will call this work session to order at 5:39 or 41 p.m. Let's stand for the pledge. Angela, roll call, please.
Councilor Bronson,
Present.
Councilor Hagee,
Here.
Councilor Richards, Councilor Sanchez,
Here.
Council President Thorstand,
Here.
Mayor Coleman,
Present.
Councilor Osberger.
Here. Let the record show that there are 6 present and 1 absent. I'm going to open this work session up. I'm going to hand it over to city staff. Yeah, go for it, city manager.
Right. Madam Mayor, Council, thanks for being here for this work session. As you're all aware, our city attorney will be leaving us in the near future. He's taken another job elsewhere, and he's going to be missed quite a bit. But the purpose of the work session is that City Attorney Larson, as we were talking about it, he thought it would be a good idea to get together, and he has, I think, some recommendations and suggestions for council as to how to best proceed, and maybe some things to think through when looking to replace him. So with that, I'll hand it over to him.
Thank you. So I've been thinking about this for a little bit, and there's a memo in front of you, and for Councilor Bronson's sake, I will attempt to summarize it as much as I can. But provide all the details. So right now, when it comes to legal services, the city employs me as city attorney, and I handle legal advice to council and staff, contract review, drafting of ordinances and resolutions, review of those drafted by other people, employment issues, and misdemeanor prosecution. I don't handle labor negotiations. I also handle land use legal advice as well. The city also contracts with attorney Aiken Blitz for labor negotiations and advice in that area. My understanding is that we don't have a current contract with him, and that's something that I think should be rectified. And so there's kind of 3 main areas of legal services that the city needs to provide. One is general city attorney work. That's the contracts, the ordinances, things of that nature.
Councilor Bronson, can you be on mute until you're ready to speak? We're getting a lot of interference here.
Sure.
Thank you.
So you could think of it as 3 main buckets: general city attorney work that would, in my opinion, include land use as well as advice to the council and staff. There's prosecution, which in Souiho Municipal Court means misdemeanors, as well as any violations that are appealed or that the party gets an attorney for. The only time I ever get involved in traffic violations or in code violations is when the other side gets an attorney, or if they appeal the decision made by the municipal judge, it goes to circuit court and I represent the city there. The second bucket, so that prosecutions would be that second bucket, and then the third bucket would be labor negotiations. Right now, like I said, you have most of it handled by me with some contracted out to Aiken. In addition, there's also some legal services you get from CIS or the League of Cities when it comes to anything that is involved with our current insurance through them, and they will be involved at that time. But that's just a part of that of what we pay for. What's typical in cities for our size Our situation is rather unusual. Most cities our size do not have an in-house city attorney, and most of them contract out. When it comes to those contracts, there tends to be specialization, especially for the labor negotiation part. That's very often a specialized contract that is not included in the regular city attorney work. And then some also contract out for prosecution, where they will have somebody specializing in just misdemeanor prosecution. And then often other cities don't have any prosecution at all. They only have traffic and violations, or maybe not even traffic, and they leave it up to the county for all of that prosecution. In our case, you have a municipal court that is in place, and as long as you do, as long as misdemeanors are handled, you have to have somebody to prosecute those. So in the research that I've done, I reached out to other cities and to the Oregon City Attorneys Association to kind of find out how other cities structure things. It is very common to have a mixture of contracts in these different areas. And so it's very common to contract out for city prosecution services. It's very common to contract to have the labor side separate. And then there's lots of attorneys who only contract as city attorneys and don't handle those things. Some of them don't even handle land use, and they contract that out as well. So based on that and looking at the city's needs, these are the options that I see for you and my recommendations. So first off, you always have the option to put out a notice that you're wanting to hire a city attorney and have an in-house attorney. That certainly is an option for you, but it is one that I don't recommend. It is the current market for attorneys. If you were to do that, yeah, I don't think you would find somebody who would be able to handle all of it. And I don't think it would be cost effective for the city. One other wrinkle that I should mention is another reason for this division of labor in those different buckets is that when it comes to a labor negotiations attorney, you really don't want to have somebody handling that needs to have a good relationship with other city staff, because they're going to be seen as the person who's sitting at the other end of the table during those labor negotiations. And it also brings up kind of an ethical violation for that attorney. So that's one of the reasons why that labor part is often treated on its own and contracted out completely separate. So as I mentioned, options are certainly you could hire another in-house attorney. The second option is really three options within the second. Is you could issue a request for proposals for legal services in three different ways. One, you could issue 3 separate RFPs for each of these 3 buckets that I mentioned. Another is you could issue 2 RFPs, one for 2 of them and one for the remainder, so that you could keep the labor negotiations side separate from the prosecution side of things. So either a RFP for general legal services and prosecution, and then a second one for labor negotiations, or one for prosecution and the other for general city attorney work and labor negotiations, something like that. My recommendation would be to issue 3 separate RFPs for each of those 3 areas. And but I would make it clear in those documents that the same firm or individual could respond to more than one of the RFPs, but not all 3, so that you could make sure that that labor negotiations piece is separate from the prosecution piece. And so the next steps for any of those options, if you were going to go the RFP route and issue some RFPs, with your consensus at this meeting, staff could prepare those RFPs and get the advertising out. And then once responses came in, those would be provided for you to review and decide on which firm to go with. If you wanted to go in-house again, you would need to go over the or confirm the job description at a public meeting. and then advertise that similarly to how you've advertised the position of city manager in the past. So that was kind of whirlwind. I hope that that's been clear, but I'm happy to either repeat or take questions however you wish.
I want to say thank you to Attorney Larson for doing the work for the city for the last couple of years, but also presenting this proposal and looking out for the best interest of the city. Any counselors with questions or comments for Attorney Larson?
Madam Mayor, will this have any effect with how our charter, like, is there anything with the charter that needs to be refined, or does this follow along? I know it says city attorney is appointed, but we're still appointing those three if we
Sure.
did three separate.
Yeah, the charter says that you have to have a city attorney, and it says that the council appoints that person. It doesn't specify that it's an individual or a firm. Just says appoint a city attorney. It's pretty typical to contract out. There's nothing that's completely in compliance with our charter. Typically, though, when you do have if you had a contract with a firm, you would name somebody at that firm as the city attorney, and their staff may handle a lot of it, but that's kind of under the direction of that attorney.
Any other questions of counselors?
Madam Mayor, I do.
Mhm.
A whole bunch of questions, Blair. No, I'm just kidding. Thank you so much for, like Mayor Coleman said, presenting this to us. I love your recommendations. I'm really sad that you're going to be leaving. You've done a lot of work for the city. I am curious what you're going to do in the interim. Is there somebody that's going to just take over the caseload that you have? Do people know already that this is out there?
Yeah.
And then I'll ask you the next one after
So
that.
I have informed everyone that I work with regularly, the court staff and the municipal court judge of my pending departure. I have arranged to make sure that I am at all of the in-person meetings in August, and all my in-person court appointments in August. I will be present for. After that, I will be employed full-time in a different state. And while I certainly could be available during evenings to respond to emails and wrap up different things, for all intents and purposes, I would not be there. When it comes to when it comes to my caseload, the only things that are really timely and in person are the prosecutions. And so getting somebody on board as soon as possible with prosecutions would make that go much better. There is Municipal Court Judge Blake is the municipal court judge for multiple small cities in our county and in Benton County, and I think some in Marion as well. And so he has a number of municipal court prosecutors that he works with, some of whom regularly, have multiple contracts with multiple cities. So finding somebody, if you wanted to move forward with the RFP for just prosecution, we certainly could market that to those people. And because they already appear in front of Judge Blake at their cities, and Judge Blake can't be in more than one place at a time, they probably would have availability for our regular municipal court sessions as well. That's just kind of a guess on my part. I have not talked with any of these individuals, but that's kind of what I would recommend would be to reach out to them. If we think that the RFP process will take longer than would be good for our court and leave us without anybody to prosecute for a month or two, we could probably find an interim prosecutor among those some of those cities. If they are not interested in responding to the RFP, we might be able to find one of them to be an interim for the duration. And I can look into that if that's the wish of the council.
I'm glad that you split this up with 3 job positions, because I don't really want to leave the prosecution side holding the bag. And then the last question, you said it would not be cost effective to do this otherwise. Can you explain a little bit? Because I know that Attorney Snyder gave us a super good deal, and I think you've given us an excellent deal, and I'm not sure anybody else is going to be that generous to the city. And so can you explain that a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, really, my ability to come in here as city attorney was a very unusual circumstance, and just doesn't happen. I still kind of find it amazing that it even did happen, you know. And so having something like that happen again, I think, is very unlikely. The main problem is that there is such a broad set of experience that you're looking for. And finding that all in one person is really tricky. That's one of the reasons why I recommend the 3 different RFPs, is that there are plenty of attorneys who know prosecution and do plenty of prosecutions. Most of them don't do anything else. And so you don't typically have a bunch of people who are a prosecutor and then they also do contract review and other stuff. Most people in the industry tend to specialize a bit more. And so finding all that in one person is just not likely. And therefore, if you do find it all in one person, they're probably going to be a bit more expensive because they're rare.
Any other questions, counselors? We need to come to a consensus, and it looks like there's 4 ideas in front of us. On the back of your memo is number 1 is to seek an in-house city attorney. 2A is 3 RFPs. 2B is 2 RFPs, and C is also 2 RFPs, just arranged differently. I'd love to hear opinions of counselors. I am leaning towards the 3 RFPs, and I want to thank you again, City Attorney Larson, for evaluating your work in that way and suggesting this. Counselor Hagee, what are your thoughts?
The same, the 2A, the 3 RFPs. And then if a firm or attorney wants to maybe try to do, 2 out of the 3, then yeah.
Yeah, I appreciated that clarification he provided as well. Yeah.
I agree with A.
I am in agreement as well, 2A.
So Sanchez?
Yeah, Blair's recommendation is what I would like.
Great. I think you guys have a consensus of council on how to proceed. Thank you again for your work.
Sure. And just
What
to
about
mention,
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
Ken.
Sorry.
Counselor
Yeah,
Bronson.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yes.
I agree with the rest here. 2A, 3 RFPs. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you so much for speaking up, Counselor Bronson.
Sure. So just to go over next steps, staff can, I can work with Cecily to get these RFPs completed and advertised as soon as possible. And then after that, once they finally start coming in, it'll be up to you to review those proposals and determine how you want to, the RFP will have our standard ranking of what we do for, the standard table for personal services contracts of how we judge them. Usually it's based on their responsiveness to the area, knowledge of the material, and references from other clients in the past and so forth. And so that'll all be part of their proposals for you to review, and then you'll be able to rank them based on those criteria. Now, if you want that, my recommendation would be to kind of go with our standard practice for those RFPs for those types of contracts. If you have specific criteria that you want to judge firms on, that you would like to get into this RFP, then we should discuss those things. If there are things that are important to you, to make sure that those are included in the RFP and in the parameters that you're going to be grading people on, it would be good to hear what those are so that we can make sure we get those captured the way you want.
Before specific parameters or details on it, how long do you recommend this RFP being open?
Ideally, I would have it open for 30 days. to get get the word out to as many firms as possible and give them an opportunity to put together a really solid proposal. We certainly want to fill this as soon as possible. And so I feel an urgency behind it, but at the same time, you still want to give kind of enough time. I would definitely not go shorter than 3 weeks, but I'd recommend a month if you're feeling just as much urgency as I am or more, maybe 3 weeks.
I was thinking 3 weeks, but I would like to hear from the council their thoughts on this matter.
3 weeks. I'd like to get it filled. I don't want another role like last attorney and city manager and all this other stuff.
I agree.
Councilor Oxford,
I support 3 weeks.
Councilor Sanchez.
It sounds
Yes.
like you already have a consensus.
And Councilor Bronson, I heard you say yes, so we have consensus for 3 weeks. But now let's discuss the specifics. If there's specific issues we'd like to see in there, I do think that we need somebody with experience in land use because that does come before the council frequently. Councilors, feel free to speak up for anything else you think might need to be included in this.
Just for some context, I can the previous RFP that was issued a couple years ago for city attorney did have criteria listed in it, and I can share with you what was done before.
That'd be great.
So the scoring and evaluation criteria before that was issued, there were 4 areas, each being 25% of the grade, so to speak. One was comprehensiveness of services, and that was defined as or described as overall capabilities and experience of the proposer to provide the requested services described in this RFP, without exception, which the contractor may demonstrate through the expertise of available staff or other means. The second was experience and qualifications, and that's demonstrated prior experience and success performing similar legal services for other clients. Third was cost of services. So pricing methodology by which preference will be awarded according to the affordability of the services relative to the city's budget and anticipated needs for legal services in various areas based on historical trends and current events. And then finally was availability and familiarity to the locale. So that's the ability of the proposer to be available for required appearances and working knowledge of legal issues and requirements specific to the city of Sweet Home and the surrounding region as demonstrated by their proposal. So that's what was used before. And then it references the RFP several times. That's where you would include all the stuff that's currently in our job description and the types of work that are going to come across this person's desk.
Any additions to this?
Madam Mayor, do you feel like this is pretty well representative of what you do?
The job description?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's pretty spot on with what I deal with. With the RFPs, we obviously want to include, the stuff that I don't do, like the labor negotiations. We would include in that for that specific RFP, but everything else is pretty much captured in there.
Any other thoughts, questions? Seems to me you have a consensus of council to move forward with what you have in front of you. So thank you so much.
We'll get to work.
Right. Councilor Bronson, do you have any thoughts or other questions?
I concur with the rest of the council. Let's move forward.
Okay. I'm going to close this work session out at 6:06. Thank you so much, City Attorney Larson and staff.